SNAP Food Stamp Benefits Update, Major Changes You Must Know. If you or someone you know receives SNAP Food Stamp benefits, then pay close attention because huge updates are on the way. Millions of families are about to see changes to their benefits, and some of these changes may not be what you expect. With food prices continuing to rise, these updates are making headlines across the country. According to a recent Gallup survey, grocery costs have gone up by more than 21% over the last 3 years. That means the dollars on your EBT card aren't stretching nearly as far as they used to. And while there is talk of increases in SNAP benefits, the changes being discussed could still leave many households struggling to keep food on the table. In today's update, we'll break down the new work and school requirements tied to SNAP eligibility, how the USDA plans to restrict what foods can be purchased with food stamps, the difference between the tiny cost of living increases and the huge jump in grocery prices, why lawmakers and experts are pushing for a minimum $150 monthly benefit. Stay with me until the end, because these changes could directly impact your household's food budget. Work requirements for SNAP recipients. One of the biggest changes rolling out in SNAP is the expansion of work or education requirements for able-bodied adults. In simple terms, if you are 64 years old or younger, you must work at least 80 hours per month or be enrolled in school for the same number of hours in order to keep your benefits. That's about 20 hours per week. If you don't meet this requirement, your benefits could be cut off. Now here's where things get complicated. SNAP eligibility is tied to income, specifically 130% of the federal poverty line. But if you take on 80 hours of paid work every month, many households will actually earn too much to stay within the SNAP threshold. In other words, working the required hours might disqualify you from receiving benefits in the first place. Lawmakers argue that the rule helps reduce abuse of the system and ensures that people who can work do work. But critics point out that this unfairly penalizes older Americans who may have retired early, say at age 62 or 63, but aren't yet 65. Unless you fall into one of the exempt groups, you will still need to meet the 80-hour rule even if you've already worked your entire life. Exemptions include pregnant women, parents with children under 18, veterans, people experiencing homelessness, foster youth between 18 to 24. If you don't fall into one of those categories, you're expected to either work or attend school, no matter your situation. Rising food prices versus SNAP increases. While new requirements are being introduced, the benefit increases themselves are barely keeping up with inflation. In 2025, SNAP benefits rose by just 2.5%. For 2026, experts expect an increase of only 2.7%. Compare that to the 21% jump in grocery costs over the past 3 years, and you can see the problem. A 2 to 3% benefit increase does little when food prices are rising 7 times faster. This gap is leaving millions of families short, forcing many to make difficult choices between healthy meals and cheaper processed foods. Analysts say unless lawmakers act, SNAP benefits will continue to lag far behind real-life expenses. Changes to what you can buy with SNAP. Another massive update is coming from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, which oversees SNAP. The USDA is tightening rules for retailers that accept SNAP, with the goal of expanding access to healthy food while reducing fraud. Agriculture Secretary Brooke L. Rollins recently explained that retailers participating in SNAP must focus on offering real food, not junk. Under these proposals, sugary items like candy, sodas, and other products high in sugar would no longer qualify as eligible purchases. SNAP retailers would need to stock more nutritious staples like dairy, grains, proteins, fruits, and vegetables. Currently, retailers only need to carry 3 varieties in each of 4 food groups, a total of 12 items. The new rules would raise that to 7 varieties per category, doubling the options required. The USDA also wants to close loopholes that let some snack foods count as staples. That means less room for chips, soda, or candy and more focus on whole foods. While health advocates support this move, many parents and low-income families argue it's unfair. Processed snacks are cheaper and stretch the monthly food budget further, whereas fresh produce and proteins are significantly more expensive. The minimum SNAP benefit problem. One of the biggest frustrations among SNAP recipients is the minimum benefit amount. Some people are getting as little as $23 or $37 per month in food assistance. Experts say that amount is not realistic for covering even a fraction of monthly grocery needs. Food policy experts and analysts are pushing lawmakers to increase the minimum benefit to at least $150 per month. The reasoning is simple. If families are required to buy healthier food, then SNAP must provide enough money to afford it. Right now, healthy foods like fresh vegetables, meat, and dairy cost far more than mass-produced snacks. Large food corporations can produce chips, cookies, and sugary drinks cheaply and sell them at low prices. Meanwhile, real whole foods require farming, storage, and distribution costs that keep prices high. Until minimum benefits are raised, households receiving the lowest SNAP amounts will continue to struggle, no matter how the rules change. What this means for you. To summarize the major updates, work/school requirements. Able-bodied adults ages 18 to 64 must work or attend school at least 80 hours per month, unless exempt. COLA increases. Benefits are rising just 2.5% to 2.7%, far below the 21% increase in grocery costs over the last 3 years. Retailer and AMP. Food rules. USDA is requiring SNAP retailers to stock more healthy food options and restricting purchases of sugary snacks and drinks. Minimum benefit debate. Analysts want the lowest monthly benefit raised to at least $150 to reflect real food costs. For now, the best step recipients can take is to stay informed, check eligibility requirements, and prepare for these changes. Lawmakers may adjust the program further, but it often takes public pressure to push real reform. SNAP provides essential support to over 42 million Americans, distributing around $96 billion each year in food benefits. But as costs rise and requirements change, millions of families are left wondering if the program will actually meet their needs. Should SNAP increase its minimum benefits to $150 per month? Should sugary foods be banned from the program? And is it fair to require 64-year-old retirees to go back to work just to keep their benefits? These are the questions lawmakers and the public need to answer. Backhand index pointing out if you believe SNAP benefits should increase. Drop a comment saying, I support a food stamp increase. Because if people stay silent, nothing will change. Thank you so much for watching and staying informed. I'll be back very soon with another update. Until then, please take care of yourself and your family.